In a powerful address to the United Nations, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared that Israel is fighting for its life against what he called savage enemies who seek its annihilation. He stated, "My country is at war fighting for its life," and Netanyahu emphasized the urgency of self-defense against what he described as savage murderers, asserting that these adversaries aim not only to destroy Israel but also to dismantle our common civilization, dragging us back into an era of tyranny as well as terror. Now, Netanyahu's speech came amid ongoing Israeli strikes on Iran-backed Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon, raising concerns about potential regional conflict. He directed blame for escalating violence at Iran, asserting that Israel as a country is defending itself on multiple fronts. He confidently declared that there is no place in Iran that the long arm of Israel cannot reach, garnering applause from some attendees, even as others, including Iranian delegates, walked out. Now, in a message of resilience, Netanyahu proclaimed, and I quote, "We are winning," indicating that Israel's determination to continue its military actions as well as operations in Lebanon will continue. Now, he also mentioned upcoming discussions on ceasefire proposals for Lebanon, but noted that conflict in Gaza would only end if Iranian-backed Hamas militants surrender and return hostages taken during the October 7 attack. As tensions remain high, the international community watchers are closely watching, particularly as Israel's foreign minister rejected calls for a ceasefire, insisting that military action would continue until Hamas complies with their demand. Let's listen in to the Israeli Prime Minister.
This is the map I presented here last year. It's a map of a blessing. It shows Israel and its Arab partners forming a land bridge connecting Asia and Europe between the Indian Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. Across this bridge, we will lay rail lines, energy pipelines, fiber optic cables, and this will serve the betterment of 2 billion people. Now look at this second map. It's a map. Look at the second map. It's a map of a curse. It's a map of an arc of terror that Iran has created and imposed from the Indian Ocean to the Mediterranean. Iran's malignant arc has shut down international waterways. It cuts off trade. It destroys millions, destroys nations from within, and inflicts misery on millions. On the one hand, a bright blessing, a future of hope. On the other hand, a dark future of despair. And if you think this dark map is only a curse for Israel, if you think that, then you should think again.
All right, to discuss the possibility of a ceasefire and what is the status like as far as the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas is concerned, and what are the possibilities of a ceasefire perhaps with Hezbollah. Joining us on the show is Dr. Shaul Yanai. He's a professor at Hebrew University, Haifa, live from Israel. Dr. Yanai, I think an important question I want to ask you is that Netanyahu has warned Iran, and clearly so in as many words. And we're looking at these statements coming at a time when Israeli military is also preparing for a ground offensive with Lebanon. Give us the latest on what's happening as far as the northern border of Israel is concerned.
Okay, hello. On the northern border of Israel, there is a massive accumulation of forces from the Israeli side, preparing to ground invasion to southern Lebanon, but in one condition: Israel will hold its forces if Hezbollah will apply to just two things. First of all, to stop bombing Israel, which is doing for the last year, so the Israeli refugees can go back to their hometowns. The second, withdraw of its elite forces, Radwan forces, north of Litani. It's about a few tens of kilometers from the Israeli north border. If Hezbollah will agree To these two terms, simple terms, stop bombing Israel, the ground invasion will not occur. But if Hezbollah will insist on attacking Israel from all fronts, from the sea, from the air, from the missiles, and preparing ground forces to invade Israel, as Hezbollah says in the last few years, I am afraid that the ground invasion will happen. Nobody in Israel wants this war. We asked Hezbollah to stop firing for the last 1 year, and we warned him again and again and again. So in the last 2 weeks, Israel took off the gloves, as we said in Israel, and we hurt Hezbollah very seriously with the communication devices, with killing its elite or its high command officers, and lately, many of his rockets and weapon storage across Lebanon.
All
But
right.
Hezbollah,
You know,
sorry?
I have to ask you right now, just adding on to what you were saying as to the attack that Israel has intensified on Lebanon, we now know that Israel has attacked about 2,000 Hezbollah targets, killing over 600 people. 600 fatalities have been recorded in the last 3 days alone. Is there a possibility that this will become an all-out war?
Yes, of course, it's a possibility. It will be the third Israeli-Lebanon war. The first one was in 1982, the second one in 2006. And in the last year, we tried to avoid for third Lebanon-Israeli war, but Hezbollah, with its allies in Iran, Iraq, and Syria, insists on going bombing our cities. About 2 or 3 million Israelis are under fire from Hezbollah. This morning, I'm living in Tel Aviv. This morning, me and my wife and my kids wake up for missiles that came from Yemen 2 days ago, missiles that came from Lebanon, and we run to the shelters. We cannot continue like that. We cannot hold Israel society, economy, and security on hold until Hezbollah will decide that it's enough for him. We said we are not willing to continue like that. Now Hezbollah has to accept our terms, stop firing, and let the Israeli people go back to their hometown or suffer a worse war than ever before. It's upon Hezbollah, not upon Israel.
All right. But, the allies, including the US, France and others, have called for an immediate 21-day ceasefire. Is there a possibility that that proposal will go through?
I think no, because in these 21 days, Hezbollah will regroup because now he's in a critical condition. He doesn't have any communication with his ground forces. As I said, his commanders are dead. His storage are bombing or destroyed all the time, even as you speak. Israeli airplanes are destroying more and more weapon storage. And if you are allowed in 21 days to regroup, we will face much worse war in the future. Again, Hezbollah is trying to get this ceasefire and is asking Iran and the Lebanon Prime Minister and France President Macron and Biden President, and Israel said yes, we are willing for a ceasefire. We don't want war. We didn't want this war in the north, but it's not. It's in one condition. It's not for 21 days, not for 14 days or 3 months. It will be like the last war. It was quiet for 17 years. Israel didn't attack Lebanon. Hezbollah didn't attack Israel, and it was all okay in the northern border of Israel and the southern border of Lebanon. Hezbollah changed this equation and start the war again. He knows the Israeli condition. No one in Israel is willing to give Hezbollah 21 days to regroup and continue firing after that. Either you will stop the fire completely, or you will suffer the war against him. And believe me, no one in Israel wants the war with Lebanon. We don't want it. We could do it much earlier. We could send our forces into Lebanon or bombarded most of the target a year ago. United States and the West, our Western allies asked us not to do it. We didn't do it, but enough is enough, and Hezbollah must understand it.
All right, and Dr. Yanai, I can't let you go without asking for an update on what's happening on the West Bank, and I want a quick update from you as to what is the status of the Israel-Hamas war. We do know that there's been a significant deployment of forces on the northern border. What's the latest as far as the war on Hamas is concerned?
Well, there is two fronts, one in Gaza and one in the West Bank. In West Bank, the Palestinian Authority crumbled, cannot enforce itself as before on the refugee camps or the northern cities or the southern cities. So terrorist groups affiliated with Hamas, Jihad, and Hezbollah start attacking Israelis or Israeli soldiers. So we have many operations to stop it. In Gaza Strip, there is some kind of, it's not a ceasefire, but Israel occupied most of the Gaza Strip. Israel is willing to withdraw from Gaza in two conditions. One, the return of our hostages. We have more than 100 more hostages over there. And the second one, that the future of Gaza will not include Hamas ruling Gaza Strip again, because we know what happened in October 7th, and we don't want it back. Now, for my opinion, this is my opinion, Israel should open again the diplomatic negotiation with the Arab countries, with the Palestinians, to try to achieve two-state solution, one for the Palestinian West Bank and Gaza under one authority from Ramallah, and the second one to, as the Prime Minister said, we should try harder to have peace with Saudi Arabia and more Arab countries, not just because of the trying to create strategic alliance against Iran and its countries or organizations that support Iran, but for the future of the Middle East, because if you will combine the economy and the knowledge and the ecosystems of the Middle East to better future,
right,
or better economy, to fight together against the economical problem, the social problem, to create a new environment, a new ecosystem that everybody can coexist. It's much better for the people of the Middle East. Unfortunately, Iran has another vision for the Middle East. Iran wants anarchy and chaos, because Iran believes that from anarchy and chaos, it can create a new order in the Middle East. That's what happened when Iran is involved in Lebanon, in Syria, in Iraq, in Yemen, in Gaza. All the places, all the territories that Iran is involved in transfer money and weapons. Even Sudan today, there is a civil war in Sudan. Every place that Iran is involved, there is a chaos, and Iran wants to build a new Islamic order under its